All right, so imagine this. You're looking to get away, take a break from it all, but instead of the usual beach trip, you're headed to a dude ranch.
A dude ranch.
Yeah, but not just any dude ranch. This one is in Nevada, and there's horseback riding, stunning scenery, campfires, all that good stuff.
Sounds pretty idyllic.
But here's the twist. You're not there for just a vacation. You're there to get a divorce.
What? A divorce ranch? That sounds like something out of a movie.
Right, but these divorce ranches were a real thing. Back in the 1930s, they were all the rage.
Wow, I had no idea.
It's wild, isn't it? Especially when you think about the fact that Nevada, this state with a tiny population, was attracting a huge chunk of the nation's divorces.
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Well, that's what we're going to dig into today on our deep dive into the fascinating world of divorce ranches. So buckle up, because this is a wild ride.
I'm ready.
Okay, so to set the stage, we're talking about the 1930s. America is in the grip of the Great Depression.
A time of upheaval and uncertainty for many.
Exactly. And amidst all this chaos, Nevada emerges as this unlikely divorce capital.
Unlikely. Why is that?
Well, think about it. Nevada was this sparsely populated state in the middle of the desert.
Not exactly known for its bustling metropolises.
Right, and yet it was attracting people from all over the country, all seeking a quick and relatively painless divorce.
So what was the draw?
2 words: liberal laws.
Ah. So Nevada was like the go-to place for people who wanted to break free from unhappy marriages.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that appeal was Nevada's 6-week residency requirement.
6 weeks. That's shorter than some vacations.
Exactly. It was a stark contrast to other states where divorce laws were incredibly strict.
So you could just pack your bags, head to Nevada, wait a few weeks, and bam, you're divorced.
Well, it wasn't quite that simple, but it was definitely a lot easier than in other parts of the country.
I bet that caused quite a stir.
Oh, absolutely. It was incredibly controversial. But you know what they say? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
And Nevada certainly got a lot of publicity.
Oh, tons of it. Newspapers, magazines, even Hollywood took notice.
I can only imagine the headlines.
Oh, they were juicy. Reno divorcees seek new lives. Nevada, land of broken hearts and second chances.
It sounds like a whole culture sprang up around this divorce industry.
It did, and that's where the divorce ranches come in.
So these weren't just places where you went to sign legal papers. They were full-fledged ranches with activities and entertainment.
Exactly. It was like a vacation with a legal side hustle.
That's wild. What kind of activities are we talking about?
Well, you had your typical dude ranch stuff: horseback riding, swimming, fishing, even square dancing.
Sounds like a bizarre mix of heartbreak and hoedown.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
But, people were trying to make the best of a difficult situation.
I guess a little distraction can't hurt when you're going through a divorce.
Right. And some people even found new love at these ranches.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't all doom and gloom. Some accounts describe these divorce ranches as hotbeds of romance.
So it was like a second chance at love in the middle of the desert.
Exactly. It was a strange and fascinating time.
So tell me more about these ranches. How did they come to be?
Well, like I mentioned before, Nevada was hit hard by the Great Depression.
Everyone was looking for ways to make ends meet.
Right. And Nevada lawmakers saw an opportunity in their already liberal divorce laws.
So they doubled down.
Exactly. In 1931, they made 2 bold moves. They legalized gambling,
Smart move.
and they shortened that residency requirement for divorce from 3 months down to just 6 weeks.
Wow. That's a game changer.
It was. It was like they were sending a message to the rest of the country. Come on down, get your divorce, and maybe win some money while you're at it.
And people listened.
Oh, they did in droves.
Yeah.
And one man in particular saw this as a golden opportunity.
Who was that?
A wealthy socialite by the name of Cornelius Vanderbilt Jr.
Vanderbilt. The name rings a bell.
He came from a prominent family, but he was also known for his flamboyant lifestyle and multiple marriages.
Sounds like quite a character.
He was. And in 1931, he opened a dude ranch near Reno called Flying Me,
Catchy name.
and he transformed it into the first divorce ranch.
So he was the pioneer of this whole divorce ranch craze.
You could say that. For a hefty sum of $500, guests got a 6-week stay at his ranch entertainment and all the legal legwork for their divorce handled for them.
$500 in the 1930s. That's a pretty penny.
It was. Definitely targeting a certain clientele, those who could afford a luxurious escape and a discreet divorce.
So picture this heartbroken souls, glamorous socialites, all escaping to this ranch in the Nevada desert. What was the vibe like?
Well, the sources paint a mixed picture. Some accounts talk about tears and heartbreak. Others mention new romances blossoming.
So it really ran the gamut of emotions.
Absolutely. You have to remember, these were people from all walks of life going through a major life transition.
Yeah, divorce is never easy, no matter what era you're in.
And it's fascinating to think about how their individual stories unfolded against the backdrop of this unique industry.
Speaking of individual stories, there's this fascinating anecdote from NPR StoryCorps, right? About two sisters who grew up on one of these divorce ranches.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. They talked about their mother, who was tasked with verifying residency for the guests.
Wow. So their whole lives are intertwined with this divorce industry.
It's amazing how something so specific to a place and time can have such a profound impact on people's lives.
It really is. Okay, so we've got these ranches buzzing with activity, heartbroken millionaires, cowboys, maybe even a love story or two brewing.
You're getting the picture. But remember, it wasn't just about Reno.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In 1939, another city enters the scene, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Even back then.
Oh, yeah. It seems like Las Vegas has always been a place for reinvention and second chances.
True, that... So what happened?
Well, Clark Gable's wife, Rhea Langham, decided to establish residency for her divorce, not in Reno, but in Las Vegas.
The plot thickens.
Her high-profile stay put Las Vegas on the map as a divorce destination.
So while Reno was the OG divorce haven, Las Vegas was hot on its heels.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about the location. The whole culture surrounding these ranches is intriguing. It wasn't just about legal paperwork, it was a whole experience.
So what did a typical stay at a divorce ranch entail?
Besides the usual dude ranch activities like horseback riding, there were dances, parties, even childcare for those who brought their kids.
Wow. They really thought of everything.
It was like a vacation with a legal side hustle, remember?
Right, of course. But it wasn't all champagne and caviar, was it?
Well, not exactly. While some ranches catered to the wealthy, there were also less glamorous boarding houses that offered a more affordable option.
So there was a whole spectrum of divorce experiences available.
Precisely. And it reflected the diversity of people seeking divorces and the varying levels of, well, heartbreak.
I guess a broken heart doesn't discriminate based on income.
It doesn't. But all good things must come to an end. And for divorce ranches, that end came rather abruptly.
Ah. What happened?
Well, in 1969, California passed a law that would rock the foundation of the divorce ranch industry.
What law was that? It was called a no-fault divorce law.
No-fault divorce. What's that?
Well, it meant that couples no longer needed to prove wrongdoing, like adultery or cruelty, to get a divorce.
So before this law, you couldn't just decide to get a divorce.
That's right. You had to have a specific reason, and it had to be something pretty serious.
Wow. So California was basically saying, hey, if you want out of your marriage, you can get out. No questions asked.
Well, not exactly. There were still legal procedures and considerations, but the big difference was you didn't have to prove your spouse was a bad person.
That's a pretty big shift in thinking.
It was. It recognized that sometimes marriages just don't work out and people deserve the freedom to move on.
So how did this impact Nevada and its divorce ranches?
It was devastating. With no legal need to establish residency in Nevada, the whole concept of divorce ranches became obsolete.
It's just like that.
Pretty much. It happened almost overnight. People no longer needed to travel to Nevada for a quickie divorce, so the ranches lost their main draw.
It's crazy how quickly something so ingrained in American culture could just vanish.
It really is. It's just how much society can change in a relatively short amount of time.
It's kind of sad in a way. All those stories, those ranches could tell the heartbreak, the hope, the second chances, it's all just fading away.
I know what you mean. It's a whole chapter of history just disappearing.
But I guess on the flip side, the decline of divorce ranches also marks a positive change.
How so?
Well, it means that divorce became less stigmatized, less about blame, and more about acknowledging that sometimes things just don't work out.
That's a good point. It became more about individual choice and freedom.
And that's a good thing, right?
Definitely, it's progress. But it's still fascinating to look back at this era and how Nevada played such a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of divorce in America.
Absolutely. Okay, so the ranches are gone, but their legacy lives on, right?
It does. In fact, 2 former divorce ranch locations are now parks in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, Floyd Lamb Park and Lorenzi Park.
Wow, so you can actually visit these places and imagine all the drama that unfolded there.
Exactly. It's like walking through a ghost town of broken hearts.
Speaking of broken hearts, we can't talk about Nevada divorces without mentioning some of the juicy celebrity scandals.
Oh yeah, there were plenty of those.
Like Rita Hayworth and Eddie Fisher.
Ah, yes. Those were some high-profile splits.
So Rita Hayworth, this Hollywood icon, at the height of her career, she escapes to Lake Tahoe in 1951 to file for divorce from her third husband, Prince Ali Khan.
A prince. Wow, that's got to be a record.
It was a huge scandal. And guess what?
What?
She cited extreme cruelty, entirely mental in nature, as grounds for divorce.
That familiar phrase again.
Seems like everyone was using that line back
It
then.
was the go-to excuse for a Nevada divorce.
But then you have Eddie Fisher, whose story is even more scandalous.
Oh, yeah, remind me.
So in 1959, he divorces America's sweetheart Debbie Reynolds to marry Elizabeth Taylor.
The love triangle of the century.
It was. And it caused a huge uproar. Fisher was basically blacklisted from Hollywood for a while.
Talk about a fall from grace.
And guess where he spent his 6-week residency waiting period?
Let me guess, Las Vegas.
Bingo. He even got a singing gig at the Tropicana while he waited, and Elizabeth Taylor was often spotted in the audience.
Ouch, adding insult to injury?
Right. Poor Debbie Reynolds. But it's crazy how this seemingly remote state became the epicenter of so much drama and intrigue.
It's true, Nevada was like a magnet for broken hearts and second chances.
So what can we learn from all of this? What's the takeaway from the rise and fall of divorce ranches?
I think it shows us that laws and social norms are constantly evolving. What was once taboo can become commonplace, and what was once a thriving industry can vanish almost overnight.
That's true. It also highlights how much our attitudes towards marriage and divorce have changed over time.
Exactly. What was once seen as a failure is now often viewed as a necessary step towards personal happiness and fulfillment.
Okay, but here's a thought. If divorce ranches were still around today, would they hold the same allure?
That's a good question. Would they be seen as a place for healing and support, or just another trendy getaway?
Would people be drawn to the history, or would it be seen as a relic of a bygone era?
It's interesting to think about how they might adapt to modern sensibilities. Maybe they'd offer counseling or wellness retreats.
Or maybe they'd still have horseback riding and square dancing, but with a more therapeutic twist.
Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
But for now, they remain a fascinating footnote in history, a glimpse into a time when Nevada was the ultimate destination for those seeking a fresh start and a chance to rewrite their love stories.
And a reminder that even in the most unexpected places, you can find stories of heartbreak resilience and the enduring human desire for love and connection.
Before we wrap up our deep dive into divorce ranches, I can't help but wonder about the lasting impacts of Nevada's divorce industry on the state itself.
Oh, absolutely. For decades, it was a significant economic driver. The influx of divorce seekers created jobs, fueled the growth of hotels and entertainment venues, and even shaped the landscape of cities like Reno and Las Vegas.
Yeah, we've talked about the dude ranches catering to the wealthy, but there are also those more affordable options like boarding houses for those with tighter budgets. It seems like this divorce industry touched various segments of society.
It did. Its impact extended far beyond just the legal and economic spheres. Nevada's reputation as a divorce haven also influenced its social and cultural fabric.
Yeah, I bet. It must have been a unique atmosphere.
Oh, it was. A blend of the Wild West with a touch of Hollywood glamour and a dash of heartbreak.
I can only imagine. Okay, but how did the locals feel about their state being known as the divorce capital of the U.S.? Was it a point of pride or was it more complicated?
Well, the sources reveal a range of perspectives. Some residents embraced the industry, seeing it as a vital part of their livelihood and, a unique aspect of their state's identity. But others viewed it more critically, concerned about the social implications of such readily available divorces.
Yeah, that makes sense. It must have been a strange juxtaposition, this Wild West atmosphere of freedom and reinvention, alongside the very real pain and upheaval of broken marriages.
Exactly. And it's so important to remember that behind those sensational headlines and glamorous images were real people grappling with the emotional complexities of divorce.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the historical narrative, but we can't forget about those human stories.
Right. And those stories often went beyond just the couples themselves.
What do you mean?
Well, think about the children of those seeking divorces, growing up in the unique environment of a divorce ranch or a boarding house. Their experiences must have been so different from their peers in other parts of the country.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how this unique chapter in Nevada's history might have shaped the lives of those who experienced it firsthand.
It does. It speaks to the broader impact that laws and social norms can have on individuals and communities, sometimes in unexpected ways.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of divorce ranches, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think it highlights that fascinating interplay between law, society, and culture. How something as personal as divorce can be influenced by legal frameworks and societal attitudes, and how those attitudes can shift dramatically over time.
Yeah, it's a reminder that history is full of surprises, and that even the most seemingly mundane aspects of life can have fascinating stories behind them.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, our ability to adapt to change and find new ways to navigate the complexities of life.
Well, I think we've covered just about every angle of this fascinating topic. From the early days of Nevada as a divorce haven, to the rise and fall of divorce ranches, and the lasting impact on the state itself.
It's been quite a journey through a truly unique period of American history.
We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and maybe even inspired you to learn more about this intriguing chapter in our past.
And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself planning a trip to Nevada to visit those former ranch locations and imagine the echoes of laughter, tears, and maybe even a few second chances.
And most importantly, we hope this discussion has given you a newfound appreciation for the complexities of history, the evolution of social norms, and the ever-changing dynamics of human relationships.
It's a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It shapes who we are and the world we live in today.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those fascinating conversations going.
And who knows what other intriguing corners of history we'll uncover together.